Look at a map of every major war, every coup, or every border dispute in the last century. We are taught these conflicts are fought for democracy, religion, or ancient ethnic rivalries, but that is a lie, designed for textbooks. If you strip away the flags and the speeches, you are left with a cold, jagged line of steel and pressure, a pipeline. The world's borders weren't drawn by diplomats. They were etched by petroleum engineers. Right now, as you watch this, and the global economy is 48 hours away from a total heart attack. Not because of a stock market crash, but because of 7 tiny microscopic points on the map. We are living in a 100-year energy war that is quietly dictated where you live, what you pay for bread, and which nations are allowed to exist. The maps you studied in school are obsolete. It's time to look at the real one. The context and promise. For over a century, the quest for black gold has been the invisible hand moving the pieces on the global chessboard. But the game has changed. We have moved from drilling in the sand to fighting over the deep silence of the ocean floor. In the next 9 minutes, we are going to expose the structural blueprint of the modern world. First, we will reveal the 7 choke points, the literal valves of the planet. Second, we'll uncover the 1971 pivot, the secret pact that turned oil into a global weapon of financial mass destruction. And finally, we will look at the terrifying EROI decay, the invisible math that is forcing superpowers into a desperate final grab. By the end of this video, you will never look at an international news headline the same way again. Because once you see the energy map, you can't unsee it. The choke point rule. To understand the world's borders, you have to stop looking at the land and start looking at the water. Specifically, stop 7 narrow straits. These are the choke points. Over 70% of all global seaborne oil must pass through these tiny geographic needles. The most famous is the Strait of Hormuz. It is only 21 miles wide, yet 21 million barrels of oil flow through it every single day, 1/5 of the world's total consumption. If a single nation closes this valve, the global economy collapses in 48 hours. This isn't a conspiracy theory, it's a mathematical certainty. But here is the reveal the mainstream media ignores. Map out every major U.S. and Chinese naval base built in the last 20 years. They aren't placed randomly. They are mathematically aligned, like sentries around these 7 points. The Suez Canal, the Strait of Malacca, the Bab el-Mandeb. These aren't just shipping lanes, they are the jugular veins of civilization. Consider the South China Sea. We are told the tension is about international waters. In reality, it is a battle for the Malacca Strait. If that gate closes, China's industrial heart stops beating in weeks. We aren't fighting for territory. We are fighting for the right to keep the taps open or the power to shut them in our enemy's face. The 1971 pivot. In 1971, the world changed forever, but most people missed the memo. For decades, the U.S. dollar was backed by gold. But when the gold ran thin, President Richard Nixon made a shocking move. He took the dollar off the gold standard. Suddenly, the world's reserve currency was backed by nothing but a promise. To save the dollar, a secret deal was struck. The U.S. turned to the only thing more valuable than gold: oil. The deal was simple, but brutal. The U.S. would provide military protection for Middle Eastern oil fields. In exchange, every single barrel of oil would be priced and sold in U.S. dollars exclusively. This birthed the Petrodollar. From that moment on, every nation on Earth had to hold massive amounts of US dollars just to buy the energy needed to keep their lights on. This created an artificial, eternal demand for the dollar. Now, look at the map of the Middle East through this lens. The borders weren't drawn for people. They were drawn to secure the petrodollar system. Whenever a leader suggested selling oil in euros or gold, what happened next? Iraq, Libya, the pattern is undeniable. Regime change is often just a polite way of saying currency protection. If the oil stops being priced in dollars, the American empire evaporates overnight. The 3,000-meter frontier. As we sit here in 2026, a new map is being drawn under the ocean. For a century, we hunted for easy oil, but that oil is disappearing. We are now entering the era of difficult energy. This brings us to the 3,000-meter frontier. Thanks to a massive engineering breakthrough, we can now reach depths that were previously impossible. Trillions of cubic feet of gas hidden beneath the seabed. This is the real reason behind the tensions in the East Mediterranean and why the South China Sea is a powder keg. It is a desperate race to claim the seabed before international laws catch up. There is a darker reason for this desperation: the ROI decay, energy return on investment. In 1930, you spent 1 barrel of energy to get 100 barrels out. Today, that ratio has collapsed to as low as 1 to 5. The math is terrifying. We are spending more energy just to get less. Superpowers aren't just fighting for oil anymore, they are fighting for easy oil. The era of cheap energy is over, and as energy gets harder to find, the borders will get harder to maintain. The climax. Here is the ultimate revelation. We are not transitioning to green energy because we want to save the planet. We are transitioning because the current energy map has become too expensive to defend. The 100-year war for oil is entering its final, most violent stage. The conflicts you see today are the death rattles of the old era. The map is being torn up because the ink, the oil, is running dry. The solution and CTA. The borders of the future will not be determined by where people live, but by where the energy flows. Whether it's lithium or deep-sea gas, the map will always follow the power. If you want to understand the world, you must look past the headlines and follow the pipelines. If this deep dive changed your perspective, hit the subscribe button. We are stripping away